What do you think is the best way to improve your writing skills?
Living,
Okay,
for sure. Going out and experience things and getting out of your comfort zone.
you're listening to a show for those who aren't afraid to admit that they don't know what the hell is going on. This is a safe space to ask any question you may have in order to keep learning and growing every day. Because the truth is, there's no way to know everything. So join me as I talk to people who know a little something about life. But there's a catch. I'll also know nothing about the questions I'm going to ask. Just like in school when there was a suggestion box that the teacher would read out loud, I'll be pulling up the questions without ever seeing them beforehand. Let's just say this should get very interesting. This is Trust Me, I Know Nothing. Wait, what? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Trust Me, I Know Nothing. In today's episode, we're going to talk about self-publishing authors. I think that at some point in our lives, we've all had this moment where we think we have a great idea for a book, but most times we don't know anything about how to publish it, so we don't do anything with it. So today, I'm going to talk to my friend Reii, who just self-published her second poetry book titled "And the Lightweight Heaviness of It All." And we're going to discuss her journey as a self-publishing author and talk about the lessons that she's learned along the way. So if you want to know how to get your ideas out there without the support of a big publishing house, this one is for you. Hey Ray, how are you today? Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, I'm so good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. I'm really excited to talk about your book, your process, and just the life of an independent author, I guess. So, what do you say we jump right into the questions and see where they take us?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. The first question says, what is the most difficult thing about being your own publicist?
I think I would go into the fear part of it. You know, it's a very vulnerable work. So
Okay.
it's, putting yourself out there in every single way. This is basically I basically published my journal. So
Okay.
it's very vulnerable. It's very, I don't know, the day that it comes out, it's exciting, but it's also like a fearful feeling to it. I don't know. It's really hard, and it's also really hard to be your own everything. So I do the art myself, I do the writing myself, I do the editing myself. So it's a little bit hard, especially because it's not in my mother language, as you know. I
Yeah.
write in English and I usually speak Spanish. And so it's a little bit hard to be a perfectionist, but also put yourself out there and say, okay, this is as ready as it'll ever be, and let's just try it out.
Perfect. And why did you decide to go the independent route instead of sending your book to a million different publishing houses?
I think it's a vulnerability thing. I think that in a lot of publishing houses, they really critique your work, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing with the work that I'm doing, because it might not be perfectly written in the sense that it's not like special type of poetry.
Okay.
It's kind of just how I feel, what I feel, and I just wanted to put it out there. So sending it to a bunch of different places and me putting myself through the process of them telling me that it was not good enough or that it was not well written enough, it was just, I don't know, it took away the feeling out of it, I think.
You think
So
the art would suffer?
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. And okay, the next question is, how do you sell and distribute your own books?
Amazon. Amazon is a great tool. You self-publish it through their page and they print it. They do everything for you, basically. So all the technical stuff is made by them.
Okay.
My own thing is like just marketing and, putting it out there and see whoever is interested in buying it.
That's so cool because I think at some point in everyone's life, we all say like, "Oh, I have this idea, and it would be a great book or a great novel," but a lot of people get scared to just take the leap of faith and publish it. So it's cool that there are tools out there like Amazon to just do it and see what happens.
For sure.
I guess one of the questions would be, how much does it cost to publish your book?
So it doesn't cost anything. They just take some of the earnings from every book. So
Okay.
say the book costs, I don't know, $20, maybe $4 is for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do they give you any options to promote it inside the website, or okay?
Yeah, for sure. You can have a whole plan that does cost extra than just publishing it, but they do everything for you. That's why I thought it was like such a great tool for me to self-publish this, these
Yeah.
books. And you kind of decide for yourself, which is amazing and also scary. It's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, because it's all up to you, and if it works out, it's on you, and if it doesn't, it's on you too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And do you feel that by doing this independently, you're closing yourself on opportunities? You're closing yourself to opportunities from publishing houses, or do you think
I
it's a way to
think
put your work out there?
right now I'm not completely interested in it being my only job.
Okay.
If someday that happens, that would be amazing. But also I'm doing a lot of things on the side,
Okay.
so getting myself into the stress of sending it to a million different publishing houses and getting a rejection. I guess I'm afraid of
Yeah.
rejection myself, like every other human, I
Yeah.
think, on this world. So yeah, for sure, I think I'm missing some opportunities, but also I'm creating some for myself. So it's kind of like, you're kind of in the middle of it, and I don't know, it's just a different type of decision to make
Okay.
it yourself or to send it to different publishing houses. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and especially because something you said in the beginning is your work is so vulnerable. It's your journal, pretty much. It's beautiful poetry. I think everyone should take a look at it and buy the book. I'm going to put all of the links in the description and everything, but we'll get to that later. Um, why do you decide to go this route instead of, I don't know, maybe a novel or something, another style of writing? Why this style of writing? I don't know if any author can answer that, but I don't know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's in my bucket list to be able to write a novel,
Okay.
but poetry just flows out. It's
Okay.
something that I don't really have to try that hard to get and to do. It's
Okay.
something that really comes out from my heart, my soul, my brain. It's the way that I'm kind of wired.
Okay.
So it's not something that I chose, consciously. It was just something that I had already. So eventually I would love to publish a novel. I have a lot of ideas to,
Yeah.
I don't know, a story worth telling, I think. But it's also a different type of process to be able to write, a poem that does not have to be, I mean, it's a life, my poetry is about my life. It's about the ups and downs. It's about the great and not so great, but it's not like it has a story within it.
And well, speaking of the way it flows out of you and how you write, what would you say is the most valuable piece of advice you've been giving about writing that you apply to the way you write?
Actually, somebody sent me a text yesterday telling me like what was the process of publishing, what was the process of writing, because they were kind of interested in trying that out.
Yeah.
And I think it's putting yourself out there. That's the most valuable advice that I can give. Like art is not supposed to be perfect. Art is supposed to make you feel something. And I think that's it. We all are so fearful in what is the people, like what are others gonna think about my art piece, and what is gonna be the opinion of everything. What if everybody hates it? But at the same time, it's like if just one person feels like, yeah, me too, I felt that too, and they don't
Yeah.
feel so lonely in this human experience, then my job is done.
Yeah.
And I think some people have texted me saying like, hey, I have felt this too. I can't believe that you put it into words. This is amazing. And it's not that I want it to be, of course I want it to be like very popular, but it's not the main goal of it, So I think the most valuable advice would be just put yourself out there, do what you're good at, even if you don't feel that other people are going to think that you're good at it. maybe
Yeah.
you are, we're our biggest and harshest critics. So
Yeah.
just be brave.
Exactly. Just do it. And specifically to self-publishing authors, what's the best advice you would give?
I guess just read it over and over again, but no, don't exhaust yourself, trying to make it perfect, because
Okay.
sometimes, like life goes through, and maybe the first poem that I ever wrote, it's it's not the same way that I would write it today for obvious reasons. We all just grow and we, see life differently, but at the same time, it's like a pin in time.
Yeah.
It's like I know exactly what I was going through at the point that I wrote my first or second or 200th poem. So
Yeah.
it's read it enough for you to feel like it's a good job, but not enough that you second guess yourself.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you are like reviewing everything, it happens to me when I edit this podcast sometimes where I watch it over and over again, that I'm completely detached from it at one point where I have to send it to someone else and be like, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Because if I go over it too many times, then it loses all sense for me. So yeah, I do that too, where it's like, I'll go through it maybe 3 or 4 times and then it is what it is. And I can't
Yeah,
keep,
exactly. It's like saying a word over and over and over again, and then it doesn't make sense.
yeah, it loses its
I
meaning.
think
Yeah.
it's the same thing happens to everything, even I don't know. I read the other day that, when you take a selfie and at first it's like, oh my God, I look so good. And then you look at it and you get uglier by the second,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit like that with everything that we do. So it's going through it enough that you like it, but not going through it enough that you just feel like it doesn't make any sense, like saying a word over and over again.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great advice for anything in life, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
what do you think is the best way to improve your writing skills?
Living,
Okay.
for sure. Going out and experience things and getting out of your comfort zone. And obviously, reading. I read everything and anything I can get my hands into. And it's not because of getting my writing better, it's because I love reading and I love listening to different stories and living different lives. But I think reading is a part of it because you get to live so many different contexts and you get to, like work through your empathy. I always say that reading is exercising your empathy because you get to, how everybody says, walk a mile in my shoes and you'll kind of understand. I think reading different books is kind of the same. You're walking a mile in somebody's head, in somebody's
Yeah.
thoughts, so reading is a great way, for everything, for the empathy and also for, grammar and communication, all of that. But it's also going out and experiencing different things. Like whatever makes you fearful, go ahead and do it. Like such a great it's worked great for me. Everything that I'm scared to do, I
Yeah.
go out and do it, and that gives me, I don't know, great work.
Yeah. I mean, it's you're supposed to write about what you know, and if you stay inside, then what are you going to know about, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it makes
Exactly.
sense to go out. Okay, you mentioned that you do your everything, your artwork, I mean, you're also a really talented artist, like plastic art and like painting.
Thank you.
I love that about you too. But have you ever thought about collaborating with other artists to create a book? Like maybe someone else will do the uh, illustrations or the cover or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I would never be closed up to that. I think there are amazing artists out there. I think that we're in a generation that we're, creating amazing things. We come from a history that it's always just like put off your feelings, go to work and do what you need to do in life.
Yeah,
And this generation is like, no, I'm gonna go do whatever makes me happy. And that is, I think, an amazing way to get art out there. There's a lot of very talented people. So if somebody would be interested, I'm sure I would, like look at their work, see if we collaborate good together. And for sure, I would be open to it. For this time, I wanted to do everything myself, from the cover art. Like, I think the tattoos that I put is like it's not obviously tattoos that I have, but it's something that makes you feel something, that connects you in some way, and I
Yeah,
love that way about it. So I just wanted to put my whole self out, but of course I would be open to doing it with other people as well.
that's amazing. And you talked about it a little bit, how you just, as long as one person feels connected with it, you've done your job. But do you have a strategy or something you do to make your books known to people and like have them find you? Or do you just put them out in the universe and let it like let the book find the person it's meant to find?
A little bit of both. I put it a lot in, social media. I try to do the marketing myself. I also, when I meet people, it's usually one of the first things I say, not because I want to look all like great, like, oh, I have two self-published books, but at the
Yeah,
same time, it's like maybe that person needs to hear what I have to say. Maybe when I was younger, I always read because I was eager to find someone that told me, like, you're not alone in this human experience. What you feel, other humans feel.
yeah,
And I think it's something that it's like making an ode to my younger self, and telling people like, hey, I feel this too, I go through this too. If you look at my social media, everything looks happy and amazing, and I do have a great life. I'm very grateful for where I am and what I get to live every day, but we also have the bad sides. We
yeah,
have some anxiety, and I go through anxiety and some bouts of depression, which is not my whole life, but it's a part of me. And I think it's necessary for other people to know that it's a whole, it's part of a whole, and usually those parts of life is what makes you like grow the most. So it's a little bit of making other people not feel so lonely in how they feel. So it's both. It's putting it out in the universe and trusting that it will get to the people that it needs to get, but
yeah.
also like kind of telling people about it and see where it goes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good balance. Um, okay, someone asked, what additional skills do you think are important when you are handling things on your own? For example, a legal background, negotiation, accounting, something like that, or have you found that it's not really necessary?
It's not necessary. I'm sure it would be smart at some point.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest, I haven't found that, and I haven't found it necessary because, Amazon makes it so easy. As long as the copyright is actually yours, they
Yeah.
do check that background. There goes a point where you click on publish and they are, revising the work. And what they're doing is looking into it and seeing that there is no, copyright violations in your work. So, I mean, it's not absolutely necessary, but it would be a smart move for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can try to do that in the future because
Exactly.
I think that's one of the things that scares people when it comes to publishing their own books. Or like, I don't even know how to do it, and I don't want people to take advantage of me. But I think one of the things that you said is just do it. If you're scared, just do it. And I believe that the best way of learning in life is by doing it and learning from like trial and error.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually you can be like an expert in things that you didn't even
Yeah.
know how to
And
begin to do.
the modern world gives us access to that. So a few years ago, maybe like 7 years ago, I had one of my books kind of ready, and I
Yeah.
was looking into self-publishing it. And there was this company that did self-publishing, but it was also a publisher, like you
Okay.
sent your work. If they liked it, they gave you, like, go send your work, we'll see how it goes. And you had to pay for that, of course.
Okay.
And I went into that company, they accepted me, they liked my work and whatever, and I started paying the fees and all of that. And then they got into accusations of, like sexual harassment towards other authors. And I was like, I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm so sorry. I just can't. So I sent plenty of emails. Of course, they did not give me my money back. They didn't
Yeah.
even, got back to me. But I was not going to publish my artwork with someone that had those allegations. It was
Yeah.
something that went against everything I believe and against everything I act on. So it was also taking a time and putting that on pause you
Yeah.
know. And eventually, to this day, then Amazon has a great tool, and it was a great tool for me, but it wasn't in the past.
Yeah.
So, the modern world gives us a lot of tools and a lot of opportunity to do what we want to do without having to go through all these things.
Yeah. So, and it makes it a lot easier to do things on your terms.
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect. Now, I want to jump into your books specifically.
Okay.
I know that this is your second book, and I just love the way you write poetry. I think it's so different from what I'm used to, at least, and I really like it. So I know you said that this is your journal, but I want to know a little bit more about like the inspiration behind some of your poems, or like what made you want to put it out there.
I think it goes back to the fact that I don't want people to feel lonely in this
Okay.
human experience. I think we're all, especially in the time of social media, we're all eager to show how amazing our lives are
Yeah.
and how cool we can be and how we can do amazing things. But at the same time, there's also a side to it, and there's the dark side that we're always so scared of putting out there, but it's a
Yeah.
side that we all have. We're all humans. We're all not the same, but we're kind of the same in the way that we feel, that we experience things.
Yeah.
So it was crazy because I had to use like my love experiences or, getting out of love experiences and just
Yeah.
putting it out there. And it's always scary. It's always scary to feel like, oh, this specific person is going to read what I felt about them. But
Yeah.
I figured out that whatever I write is about me and how I feel, and it's not really about the other person. And
Okay.
I think it's honoring that, and the inspiration comes from everything, from having a panic attack, but also from having the most amazing day out at surfing and surfing with rainbows and friends
Yeah.
and amazing waves and turtles. So it's all of it. It's the balance that we have at life, it's basically that.
Perfect. And you mentioned like you write about someone and they are going to read exactly how you feel about them. Have you ever had someone confront you or just ask like, hey, is this about me, or why did you say this?
Yes, but in my first book, what I did in my intro is like, P.S. If you think a poem is written because of you or for you, then you're right.
Okay. That was smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, there's a saying in Spanish, si te queda el saco, te lo pones.
Yeah. If the shoe
And
fits.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you feel like it's for you, then it is for you, and that talks about that person more than it talks about me. And of course they have said like, hey, is this about me? And it's like, well, I guess you'll never know.
Yeah.
One thing is putting your artwork out there and being vulnerable, and the other thing, like completely opposite to it, is, I don't know, going out and telling the person like, hey, you made me feel this way. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, and I don't want to put myself on the spot in that sense. So
Yeah.
if anybody thinks it's made for them, written because of them, for sure, it is.
It is. Whatever you say. Perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect. Next question. Okay. Do you see yourself making a living out of this? Are there any more? Yeah. Are there any more books in the works?
Yeah, for sure. Like, writing is something that will never leave my life. It's something that comes very naturally for me. It's more of a need more than a want, like writing for me is a need. It's some way that I can get everything that I'm feeling out. If it comes out beautiful, amazing. If it's not, I have a lot of poems that I did not publish because I don't think that they would give anything into the art. It's something that it was just for myself, and it's not like well written or anything, but it was my feelings, and some of them are great. So it's, of course there's more books coming. I have no idea which one. I'm sure some more poetry books will be in the works because, as I said, it's my journal and it's something that happens every single day. But I would love to write a novel at some point. I have, such great ideas. I just have to work in my consistency in that type of work, because it's very different. It's a very different process to write something that has to make sense in a whole story than just a poem about how you feel in the moment and then that's done.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the struggles of being a self-publishing author is you don't have anyone like holding you accountable to like deliver consistently like the story, or that it makes sense or anything. Like if it makes sense to you, that's all that matters in this scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and do you okay, no, one question I had is, you said that some people have written to you and said like, hey, this poem really, I really identify with this poem or something like that. Do you have a particularly favorite story about that happening? Like, you don't have to say names or anything, but like someone reaching out to you and saying, hey, your work helped me or touched me.
Yeah, for sure. There was this guy that was from the other side of the world. I want to say Angola. I want to
Okay.
say somewhere that I can't even remember because it was so amazing. And he was like, "Hey, I got your book. I have a friend of a friend of a friend, and he told me that you are his friend and you published the book, and I got it, and it made so much sense to me. It's some you put into words the things that I haven't been able to, and something that I'm not brave enough to say, because that's the thing about masculinity as well.
Yeah.
A lot of men are not, able to put their feelings out there. There's, this feeling of man up, and it's
Yeah.
such a stupid thing. It's such a stupid thing. But it is out there. It's a reality, So a lot of the things that a lot of the people that have reached out are males, and I thought that that was amazing and
Yeah.
different. I did not expect that to be happening. So it was that guy from the other side of the world, and also there was another guy from the US. I don't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about me. I don't even know how he got into my book. And he texted me the other day through Instagram, and he was like, "It's so inspiring what you do. It's so deep. I feel so inspired by you." And he's maybe 60 years old. It's not even about,
Wow.
yeah, it's not even in my age gap. So
Yeah.
it's really nice. I don't know. It's really nice to know that you inspired someone somewhere randomly, and it's really nice for them to be, like, um I don't know, giving enough for them to tell me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get inspired by something and you don't say it to the author, especially, but it's so nice to I'm so appreciative of those messages, to be
Of
honest.
course. And to think that if you would have gone the traditional route and wait for it to get published and edited, maybe you wouldn't have reached these people. And
Yeah,
like we said, the art does suffer when another person gets their input involved. So
yeah.
I think it's so cool and so brave for you to just put yourself out there, and you took the leap of faith, and I'm sure it's going to pay off because your
Thank
books are amazing.
you.
And so I think I want to leave it at that. I don't know if you have anything to add for anyone that might be watching.
um no, just be brave and put yourself out there. Like, nothing bad can happen. We all have this spotlight effect, like, oh, what are they gonna think about me,
Yeah,
and they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about
their own
themselves.
problems. Yeah,
And they're all thinking like, oh, what are people gonna think about me? And it's just like such a spotlight effect. So, just be brave, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid of what anybody's going to say. If they hate it, good, you made them feel something. If they love
yeah,
it, good, you made them feel something. So that's it. Art is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to make you feel something, whatever it is. Even if, like, they hate me as an author, then I
yeah,
sparked something in them,
yeah.
whether it's good or bad. So,
Perfect. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole point of, I think, in general life, to create connections, good or bad, like just make you feel alive. And I think you're doing that with your art, and it's beautiful.
thank you.
So I'm gonna put Reii's Instagram here, and so you can follow her. And you are also gonna put the link to Amazon for you to buy her book, and just make sure to check it out. It's amazing. I'm sure you're gonna connect with at least 10 of the poems because it's so good.
Thank you.
So thank you again, Reii, for being here today and for talking about this. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be inspired to just go for it. And yeah, I hope to talk to you again soon about something else because we always talk about life in general, so we can do a podcast on that too.
For sure. I would love that.
Okay. And yeah, so thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.